So today we're going to be talking about how Joe Biden just dropped out of the presidential race and the effects that is going to have on the presidential elections coming up in November, and which party is going to win now. I'm also going to be giving my updated map by the end of the video, and that will basically tell you who I think will win the election and by how much. As of now, of course, that will change from here to election time, because as of now, there isn't even a Democratic nominee, so we need to get one of those first, and then I can also make another video after that. But for now, we'll talk about how Biden just dropped out and the effects that's going to have and everything else. So if you're new around here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Also, make sure to leave a comment. Go ahead and give me your opinions, give me your suggestions, give me all that. I'll make sure to read through them. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So Joe Biden just dropped out of the presidential race earlier today, July 21st, 2024. And this is something that I feel like we saw coming. We were getting reports over the week by the media that, Biden was more likely going to drop out of the race this weekend, and lo and behold, on Sunday, he decided to drop out. Now, the question of whether he was forced to or whether he decided to on his own, and that's up in the air. I feel like there's a lot of different reasons as to why he could drop out, but I do feel like that is the best thing for himself and for the Democratic Party. And I do want to say just real quick before we go any further that I will probably be giving my opinion in this video, so if you have an issue with that, and if you for some reason view me differently based on my political opinion, I would like to ask you to click off the video, because I don't think that's a valid reason to dislike somebody. I usually give a pretty unbiased opinion in these types of videos, but if that's something that just isn't going to settle right with you based off of which candidate I prefer and which party I'm affiliated with, then do click off the video. And if you're not American and you're just here to learn about our country that is slowly falling, then buckle in. So I feel like personally that, Joe Biden should have dropped out of the race. He's an old dude. He's like 82 or 83. And that's just too old to be running a country. I firmly believe in an age cap on elections. I believe that if you're older than the age of 65, that you should not be running for office. Maybe 67, because that's technically retirement age. So if you're 67 and up, don't run for political office. And I also believe that the United States should lower the requirements of being 30 years old down to, at least 25 years old. You could make an argument for, brain development to fully take place, which is usually about 25, 24. But, I wouldn't also be opposed to, maybe 20. Maybe I'm trying to make a run in a few years. Who knows? Of course, I would need a lot of money for that, so that's not going to happen. But I feel like the age requirement of 35, I might have said 30 earlier, I meant to say 35, but being 35 as a requirement is ridiculous. It should be 25 at least, and it should be capped off at 67 to prevent any old folks from ruling the most powerful country. So anyway, now that Biden has dropped out officially, who is going to be the Democratic Party's candidate? As of now, it looks to be Kamala Harris, the current vice president of the United States. I feel like there are there's a lot of options within the Democratic Party as to who could replace Joe Biden. Some of the top names include, of course, Kamala Harris. You also have people like Hakeem Jeffries. Then you have Gavin Newsom, who I don't think should get the nominee because he's actively hated across the country right now, mostly by Republicans and independents as well. So if you want to win independents, Gavin Newsom probably isn't the way to go. But if you want to be like full on left-leaning liberal, Gavin Newsom would be the way to go. But that's going even further to the left than the left even is right now. A name that I really like is Pete Buttigieg. He's young. He's only 42 years old, which is something this country needs. I think we need a really young leader right now. And currently, we only have one candidate, being Donald Trump, and he's in his late 70s, so I don't think that he should be elected because of that. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but that's one of the primary reasons, is because we need to get these old people out of our government and replace them with new minds. And I guess the best thing to do would be to bring up CBS News' own article of who would replace Joe Biden as the nominee. They have a whole list of names here, including Joe Manchin. I don't think that he would win the nomination at all because he's barely a Democrat. He's also 76. He's also an independent, not even a Democrat anymore. And then, of course, like I said, there's Gavin Newsom. Gretchen Whitmer, I don't think that she should run. She's not even popular in Michigan. I don't even know who this guy is, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's the governor of Illinois, but I've never heard of him before. Wes Moore in Maryland, I like him. I think he's an upcoming Democratic leader. I just don't think that he is ready for that just yet because he just got elected governor of Maryland. Then you have Amy Klobuchar. She ran back in 2020. There's Pete Buttigieg. There's also Josh Shapiro. He just got elected in 2022. I once again, he's like maybe one of those candidates that aren't just ready to make a run just yet. Same with Raphael Warnock. And really, those are like the big names to look out for. Those are your likely Democratic nominees. So now we're going to go ahead and jump over to 538. 538 is a pretty good polling website. They have a lot of polls. Actually, what they do is they just put up a bunch of polls from different sources, and you can see a bunch of different ones, you know, approval rating of Kamala Harris, the approval rating of Donald Trump, who you want in Congress, so on and so forth. So these aren't necessarily up to date because new polls need to be ran now that Joe Biden is officially out of the presidential race. But as of now, and as of July 18th, apparently, some of these guys, Southern California Research, have Harris winning by 11 and Biden winning by 11. I think that's a little bit too much. That is a very big landslide. And then you have some other ones down here. This was in Michigan. We have looks like they had Whitmer as the nominee for some reason. Then we have Harris, and then we have Biden. So really, we can't use these polls too much. Oh my God, that is interesting. Biden winning by 18. I don't know about all that. Suffolk University. That's a little crazy, but most of these guys just have Trump winning, and that's because of recent events. So we will mostly be ignoring the polls for now, and we'll basically just, you know, break it down by state. I clicked on Alabama out of randomness. This is weird. They have Kennedy winning in one of these, but he's an independent, so not sure how that would work. So going back to the original question of, you know, who is going to be their nominee, I think it will be Kamala Harris at the end of the day. Is that my preferred choice? No, it isn't. We can look at her approval rating. It's not going to be good. In fact, it was only good in 2021. But over the past couple of weeks, well, I guess past couple of months at this point, it has slowly been getting better, but I do have a feeling that once her voice is, you know, a little bit more out there as the official nominee, which is my projection, that it will probably go down. You know, a lot more people will probably start liking her after, you know, being able to hear her. And of course, you can listen to her speeches, but the news usually doesn't cover that because the news is just not. Don't watch the news. Mainstream news sources aren't good anymore. We can also look at Joe Biden's approval rating. It was never good. I mean, it was good up to a point, and then, you know, the Afghanistan withdrawal happened, which, yeah, that ruined it for him forever. But that's not obviously not the only reason that he was so disapproved of. It still wasn't as bad as Donald Trump's was, but that doesn't really matter because, you know, we're talking about the Democratic nominee. Also, these are just polls. These aren't, like, you know, actual statistics. These are just projections. So I do want to clear some things up real quick. My grandma actually had a really good question earlier, and now that, you know, Biden has dropped out of the race, what happens in case, you know, he passes away? Obviously, one of the reasons that he dropped out was because of his own health. Currently, he has COVID-19, which if you're older, it is a lot harder to fight off these viruses and stuff like that. So in the bizarre case, which I do not believe that he's going to die anytime soon, but if he were to die, Kamala Harris would become the president of the United States, and she would be until January 20th. Now, if she's in the election and she loses to Donald Trump, then she will still be the president until January 20th when the inauguration happens. But if she were to win the election, you know, she's already technically president. So what happens? Well, she would still be under the Biden administration, and that would be that way until January 20th, until it officially switches over to the Harris administration. So if anyone was wondering, or if you just didn't know that, there you go. Anyway, now we're going to take a look at a map, because we all love maps around here, right? So here we are taking a look at the road to 270. This is a website known as 270-2win. I don't have an ad blocker, and there are ads on the side. I'm sorry about that. I don't believe in ad blockers. Anyway, this is their current map and projection. As you can see, it still has all of the toss-up states, and it also has all of the safe states. We are going to be completely resetting this. There we go. It's now blank, and I've also done my best to hide the ads, but you still see a little glimpse of it in the corner, so I apologize for that. Anyway, let's go ahead and give my own prediction for this election. We're going to be starting with the Democratic safe states. Once again, California, Oregon, and Washington are all safe states. And then we have Maryland and Delaware. Those are typically your safe states. New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Vermont, and the 1st District of Maine. Those are our pretty much safe liberal states. And then, of course, Washington, D.C. and also Hawaii. These are your safe 100% going left states. 148 electoral votes to the Democrats immediately, no matter who their candidate is, unless it's, you know, RFK. That would be weird. That's not going to happen, though. Now we have our safe Republican states. This is going to be a lot of your southern states, states that almost nobody lives in or cares about. That wasn't a jab. I'm just saying these states typically don't have much population or attractions. So I think that's all of the absolutely safe Republican states. So that's about 109 guaranteed votes to the Republican Party, or I guess guaranteed ballots. So these states, no matter what, are going to be voting red. These are going to be Trump states because I don't believe that he will drop out of the race. Although if he did, that would be great because then we could move towards a new era of politics in the US. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. So we are going to be stuck in our current era, at least for the next couple of months. Hopefully it doesn't go beyond that. Anyway, now we can do our leaning states. These are states that are likely going to go to either side. We'll start with the left. Colorado is going to be our first lean state, as well as New Mexico. And not lean, I meant to say likely, sorry. These states are most likely going to the Democrats, and their candidate that they choose most likely doesn't matter because these states will be safe blue. We're also going to throw in Illinois in there, as well as the, what are we throwing in? Oh, Minnesota. Yeah, we're going to throw Minnesota in there as well, and New Jersey. Sorry about that. Sorry, New Jersey. Totally didn't forget that you existed for a second. So these states are more than likely going to the left and to the Democrats, so they're guaranteed at this point 206 electoral votes, which is pretty good. But the key number is 270, and that's where the rest of these states come in because these guys are likely to go either way. Not all of them, because we still have to do the likely Republicans. So in that case would be Texas, that's a big one for the right. Florida, also another big one. Ohio, another big one. Montana, and I believe that's all for the likely? Yeah, I'd say so. Also, the first district of Nebraska is always left, so we can add another one there. So at this point, with all of these safe and likely states thrown in, we're looking at 207 electoral votes for the left and 199 for the right. But this doesn't guarantee any winner just yet because we still have to do the leans in the tilt states, which this is where our election is going to be decided. Alaska typically leans to the right, same with Iowa and Indiana. Now to the left, we have Maine at large going to the leaning left at least. That would mean that the Democratic candidate would get 3 electoral votes and the Republican candidate, being Donald Trump in this case, would only get 1. And, you know, the reverse is in Nebraska as well. So Maine and Nebraska do their voting very weird, and I hate it. It's by district, and I don't like it. I would rather just have a popular vote because that makes the most sense. So the remaining states here on this map, I believe, are going to be the toss-up states in this upcoming election. You have Nevada, Arizona, the Rust Belt, including Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia. So at this point, I'm pretty much saying that there's 100% going to be 209 electoral votes for the left and 219 for the right. I don't think that's going to change from now to the election time. But for our tilt states, we'll be starting well, we're not going to be starting with anyone specifically, but I'll be giving my prediction. So I think Virginia will tilt to the left. It's been blue for many years now, and I don't think this election is going to change it. I threw this in the last video, but I'm throwing it in here too. The 2021 governor election, there was not a lot of turnout from the left. A Republican got elected, and after a series of policies by him, I feel like that the turnout by the left in the state is going to be very high in this election. So I have Virginia tilting left. I also have New Hampshire tilting left. I don't think that they're going to split to the right. I mean, it's very possible, and that's why they're a tilt state. They're way closer than Virginia is. It honestly makes me want to put Virginia in a lean blue, so we'll do that, and we'll keep New Hampshire in the tilt blue. Now, these guys, they could switch back and forth. I don't even know what the polling says right now. Let's actually check. All right, the polls in New Hampshire are pretty split. It looks like it's a little bit more left-leaning than it is right-leaning. The most recent poll was Trump +2. It was in June 28th, so who knows? And also, you know, Biden is a candidate, so we really can't look at polls anymore because it's going to be a different candidate. Either way, I think New Hampshire stays left. And now we get to the battleground seats. These guys, they could flip back and forth from now to the election. I have Georgia going to the right here. I'm not sure about them. North Carolina most certainly is also going to the right. And now this election is getting very close. We're looking at 226 to 251. No official winner just yet though. Although I might be changing that because Pennsylvania likely is going to the right in this and at this point, this does give the Republican nominee the victory in the election. They might be able to tie it. Let me just check real quick. No, I'm not missing anything. Okay, it's impossible to tie. I think that Wisconsin and Michigan are going to stay left, and Arizona and Nevada, it could go either way. Nevada right now, I think, is leaning right. Yeah, pretty much by 5 points, which is a lot. And then in Arizona, it's a little bit closer. I don't like these polls. I don't think this is very accurate at all. I think, if anything, Arizona is more likely to go left than Nevada is. Nevada, at this very point in time, I feel like they go right. In Arizona, I mean, really, it's like I want to put them on the right because that's realistic right now. But honestly, I just don't think that the Republicans are too appealing to Arizonans right now. I mean, I'm not from Arizona, so I can't speak for them, but after the whole John McCain thing that happened with Trump, and then, of course, the crazy person that almost got elected in Arizona, who was still being crazy even after losing her election, I can't see how that's too appealing to Arizonans. So I'm gonna have them going left. I just don't want to say that that's what's going to happen, because I don't think it is, but if I'm being realistic in my own head, I think it goes left. But there's 100% a possibility it goes right. So this is my current election map. It's a lot closer than it was when I did my previous one. That map looks something like this. The key differences are, of course, Arizona and then Wisconsin, also Maine as well. I had Maine going to the right fully, but over here I have Maine and majority going to the left. So yeah, this is my current projection. Donald Trump winning the election, 276 to 262 against any Democrat. Now, most of the time I was, projecting that Kamala Harris would be the nominee, but there's 100% a chance that she isn't the nominee. I think by default she has to be, because Joe Biden never officially accepted his nomination, so I'm not too sure how that works. Doesn't matter though. Once a nominee is chosen, I'll make another political video updating you guys on that. The last video did really good. I did it way better than I thought it was, so I'm excited to be able to make more videos like this in the future, because you guys do seem to enjoy them, and there's a chance that there's a lot of new people here as well. So if you are a new person, make sure to show some support for further election coverage, I guess is what you can call it. Projections, predictions, and talking. Right before we end it though, it's 10:13 p.m. on the 21st. You're seeing this at 11 a.m. on July 22nd. So this is going to be a pain for me to get up, but probably not. Oh, this is fine. I'll get it through it quickly. This was a surprise video. I was going to do a video after Trump's attempted assassination to see if that changed any polling. I don't think it does in the long run. I mean, it might have an effect on Pennsylvania, but I think they're going to go to the right either way. So that doesn't really change anything. I'm kind of happy that, the whole stepping down thing happened today of all days, because then I can, change the video topic to that instead of the other thing, because this is a lot more interesting and it changes the election map a lot more. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, which is going to be a collaboration. Stay tuned for that. And of course, thank you to all the super fans. This includes Mr. Bonk7, Patrick Clauser, Switzerland Lowell Productions, German Edits, Georgie Badev, Kylie Speaks Plays, HammerToad45, Connor the Gamer, Poland Country Ball, Yakko, Nevada Garbage Trucks, and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.